Greetings, scholars. I want to pick up with our discussion on day 2 of writing the discipline paper. So, on day 1, we formatted the paper according to the style that our major requires. My major requires 8 MLA formatting. Someone else's major may require APA format. But on day 1, we talked about formatting the paper according to whatever style the major requires. So for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to continue to use MLA. I'm going to continue to use MLA. So we formatted and we talked about section 1 on yesterday. Well, today I want to focus on writing section 2 and section 3. Okay? So section 2 talks about the war in Ukraine, and this is going to be the focus of the paper. You talked about your major in the first section. Now we want to start fine-tuning the paper and focusing the paper on the war in Ukraine. So, section 2. This section should include multiple paragraphs. I leave it up to you. You want to focus on the cause or effects of the war, right? So use your research. What caused Russia to go to war with Ukraine? And what are some of the effects that the people of Ukraine and the world face now that that war has started? Of course, you know some of the consequences or some of the effects that the people in Ukraine are suffering. They've lost their homes. They've been killed. There have been reports of abuse. As far as the effects on the world, you already know gas prices, even though they're going down today, I hope they keep going down. High gas prices, inflation, all of that can be attributed to the war that Russia and Ukraine are going through. So, in section 2, multiple paragraphs. I leave it up to you, but you should focus on telling me what were some of the causes. What caused Russia to invade Ukraine? And what are some of the effects that this war has had on the people of Ukraine and the world? In section 3, I want you to start talking about the problems, right, of the war. And I want you to be very careful on how you focus this. Focus on problems that you see from your perspective as a social worker, as a communications major, as a criminal justice major. So a criminal justice major is going to see problems that are arising from this war in Ukraine differently than a social worker. A criminal justice major may want to focus on the war crimes, right? The reported abuse, the treatment of prisoners of war, excuse me. What are the legalities that you see from this war from your perspective as a criminal justice major? A social work major, on the other hand, was probably going to be looking at the problems that this war has caused as the problems affect families, children, mothers, fathers, right? Food insecurity, housing insecurity, the trauma that is faced by children and adults, right? So I want you to be very careful with section 3. And I want you to start writing section 3 after you write section 2 or along with section 2, because once you do section 2 and you talk about the causes, what caused Russia to invade Ukraine, what were some of the effects, it's easy for you then to identify those problems from your perspective as a social worker, communications major, or criminal justice major. And look at this section. Section 3, write a 5-paragraph essay addressing 3 problems you see, right, from your perspective as a social worker, communications major, or criminal justice major. So section 2, section 3, it's going to be long sections, and it should help you to reach your 5 pages without a problem. You should go over 5 pages with this, but do a good job and make sure that you're following my instructions. Do a good job and make sure that you're following my instructions. So day 2 is going to be a pretty healthy writing day. Focus on writing section 2, multiple paragraphs. What were the causes? What were some of the effects? Focus on the problems from your perspective. Focus on the problems that the war in Ukraine has created from your perspective as a social worker, communications major, criminal justice major, etc. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I will be happy to answer them. Watch the recording as many times as you need to make sure that you understand what is required of the assignment. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.